Hi folks, and welcome to Take Me to Your Paradise. We're live again in the Morven Lounge. Joining us this morning, my good man Mr Brian Clifford, Mr Alan Stirling, and a man from TRUTACTICS. Like he always says, we talk about him all the time. He's been on a few times. It is indeed Mr GLAVIN. William, it's good to have you on again, mate.
Yeah, great to be in person as well for a change rather than doing everything virtually in it. But no, great to be back, and looking forward to getting into the nitty gritty of Borussia Dortmund against us tonight, so it should be good. Yeah, and today we've got a nice wee surprise for some of you. Today we've got a tactical breakdown of how Celtic are going to take on Borussia Dortmund in tonight's Champions League match. Lads, I just want to start with, obviously, William, I just want to get your thoughts first on how you think this current Celtic side are faring so far this season, from pre-season, and because we've spoke at length regarding it, and obviously, for me personally, William, I think it's been a continuation from pre-season, the way they've performed, even against like Man City, Chelsea, and just right into the season. And for me, mate, performance levels are just getting higher and higher. So what's your take on it? So obviously, I think one of the times I came on, probably about end of last year, calendar year probably, we were talking about what is the identity of the team. You know, I think we were struggling to really identify what Brendan was trying to implement. And I think that probably just took a lot longer than what we all sort of expected. Obviously with Ange, he sort of got Ange ball going pretty quickly. But I think with the upheaval of the summer before, with Ange going, Brendan coming back, he's really tried to stamp his authority into the team in terms of how we're playing. I think you could see, especially towards the end of last season as well, we were hitting a good form and you could see how we were trying to play. So I think it really just took a long time really to get the players adjusted. Also, I think that a lot of players that didn't fit what Rodgers' standard is in terms of levels and performances, he's managed to obviously shift out the door, and he's brought his own men in to suit his style of play. So I totally agree with you. From pre-season, I think he's got the right people in the building to implement his playing style, and to be honest, I don't think we're really looking back at the minute, but we're always looking forward to the next game, because even the game at the weekend against St Johnstone, I know St Johnstone are really struggling now and not get a manager, but we honestly blew them apart, and I think that we're going to do that in Scotland this year. It looks as if we're just going to go and dominate.
Yeah, in terms of last season to this season, the contrast is night and day in my opinion. But for me, William, you can tell me what you feel personally, but I think there was a transition point last season for us, because I don't think the players, they were tuned into the way Ange wanted to play, and that was kind of muscle memory that they had. And then Rodgers came in and he probably blew their minds in terms of, look, I want you to play like that, but I want you to have a tactical aspect involved in the game that maybe you're not used to. Because I felt that, we've spoke about it, Ryan, we were getting caught too high up the pitch, we were conceding goals under Ange. In Europe we were probably more suspect than domestically. But he's the way Brendan's come in and worked, it's as if he's developed as a coach and a manager himself anyway. But he's come in and he's really implemented a tactical aspect in among them, which is why probably this season, mate, you're seeing the team counter-press at a much higher intensity, and for me, that's what's killing the opposition.
Yeah, I think as well that obviously Kuhn has obviously been a big part of how we are playing this year. But obviously he came in sort of mid-season and really struggled to hit the ground running, and that happens when players change leagues, change countries, whatever. There's upheaval in their life, obviously. It's really hard to get them to perform to that elite level. But I think Kuhn's obviously been working there in the training ground with Brendan, and Kuhn's got all the attributes of what Brendan wants for your wide men. Maeda was already doing it, so obviously Maeda's really good at, you know, that intense pressing, the recovery, then pressing again, getting past players. I think last year, because Kuhn wasn't quite at that level, we really struggled on the other side of that wing, so there wasn't balance as such. You know, Maeda was doing it at one side, but really guys like Palmer was really struggling to do it. Then eventually James Forrest ended up coming in as well, and obviously he's sort of done great compared to Yang and what Palmer had done. So I think there's been a bit of that as well, but I think Brendan has now got the right player profile, I would say, for each position, and I think that's how you can see everything's just clicked between the whole side.
Did you see for the first time that Brendan was here, did you see a kind of evolution of the style of play that he's kind of representing? I've noticed slight differences in comparison. I know it's still an attacking kind of style of play, but it's like faster, kind of longer passes. It's not the kind of tippy-tappy that maybe we've seen for other styles, maybe with Brendan there in the past. But it looks to me as if it's definitely evolved, the style of play, and he's getting to the optimum with the way that he wants, that he believes that football should be played?
I think going back to Brendan's first spell in charge, I think it was more patient. Whereas now I think it's more direct, and I think it's really, you know, we'll score one, we'll go and score another one. Whereas that sort of patient play, knocking the ball around about the back defensive line and things like that, they're trying to focus on breaking lines with passes more and relying on rotations on the wide areas with guys like maybe Kuhn and Johnson and Taylor and Maeda, intermoving between there to really just confuse opposition, create some space. But I think a lot of that ball circulation going across the field has probably come out a wee bit. They're focusing on trying to break the lines with the passes a bit more.
Risky, more penetrative passes.
Exactly, yeah. I think that's happening now.
That's probably what I've noticed in comparison to the first spell and to kind of Ange's team as well. It's good that football is. It's just a different style that's getting you kind of right off your seat and really excited. It's great to watch, to be fair.
Yeah.
What about your take on it?
I think what William says there's, and Alan and yourself, I think it's spot on in terms of, especially when he first came in, it was attacking, but I think it is possession based, but it is quicker. You can definitely see it's, like I think Alan said that spot on there, it's not just tippy tappy stuff, it's longer passes, but it's quicker. Because I think, I don't know what you feel on this.
Aye.
For me, William, I think the biggest part is potentially goalkeeper. Because Joe Hart he was gradually getting better with the ball at his feet, he was putting it wide, but I think with Casper, as soon as he gets it, he's whizzing it out and it's starting attacks, and for me, that could be something that we could capitalise on tonight.
Yeah, I think so. I think bringing Casper in has been a big positive for the team. And it's not just with his shot stop ability. I think you're right. I think his distribution's a lot better. I think the back line looks settled, if that makes sense. Like, I think everyone, there was times we were knocking it back, and if the goalkeeper panics, everybody else starts to panic. You know, you hear it in the crowd as well, but the defenders do the same thing. I think Casper just brings that calmness, and I think he's been in those positions before. To be honest, I just think he's a great fit for the team at the minute.
I know when he first came in, his age was a wee bit, but I think in terms of goalkeeping now, you've seen guys like Buffon and
it's experience,
Van der Sar, and I
think
especially for the Scottish League, he's kind of cruised it so far. Even in Europe, you've seen after the game in Bratislava when he lost a goal, he was really not happy. And I think the mentality is when we lose a goal, it's like we need to go and get a goal back right away. And I think that's why I think we will cause a bit of damage tonight. Obviously, defensively, we'll go into it. That's where I think that's our biggest downfall, is we need to be settled defensively. But I do feel going forward, we'll score goals in Europe, but it's well known we keep the back line settled. I think that's my biggest, no fear, but that's my biggest thing about us in Europe. It's defensively. We're not always the best defensively. Again,
see on what Ryan's saying there in terms of the defence, William, do you think the way we're counter-pressing now is helping the way we defend because of, like I says, the intensity we're doing it at? I think we're spooked teams in the way we're doing that this season, because you can actually see a more tactical aspect of that happening. Because if you notice, there's patterns of play, and I've noticed with Celtic for the beginning of the season. So if McGregor jumps and just say Engels jumps, then Atati comes in here and covers. If it's not Atati, it's Bernardo. If Bernardo jumps and Engels jump and McGregor's set, and obviously Celtic, what I feel Celtic do really well is the Celtic play within the net, and then when teams come and try and attack that, that's when Celtic this season are really capitalising and punishing. I mean, you've got your two centre-halves standing 10, 15 yards inside the opposing half. You're always going to create chances, mate. Maybe not so much doing most of that tonight, but especially domestically, you're going to kill teams.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's definitely more of a counter-pressing approach, or the sort of Jurgen Klopp gegenpressing is the famous sort of term that's been used. And Celtic are trying to press more in this zone, you know, in the other opposing's half. So what that does is, if Celtic are really counter-pressing them up here, it puts pressure on the other team trying to get the ball out. But the defensive line tends to sit on the halfway line. They'll basically try and pick up any loose balls that come out. And there's an approach, there's a defensive principle that became popular in Germany as well. It's called rest defence. And basically what it means is, what is the rest of the defence doing when the other team's pressing? When the rest of the team's pressing. So what will happen is, if there's one striker here, you'll probably find the two centre-halves will sit beside them. If there's two strikers, you'll probably find there's three defenders. They're always looking for that numerical advantage. So if the ball comes out, there's a greater chance that one of the Celtic defenders will pick up. You'll probably see that a lot more this year from what he's doing, purely because you're expecting everyone else to be counter-pressing. As soon as they lose the ball, they're trying to win the ball back in this area, which is effectively killing teams because we're always keeping the ball here rather than falling back into our shape, back in our own half. Really try to keep everybody here, don't let them go past effectively.
That's why he's here, me man, because you're built like a weatherman standing there and talking about the areas and that. Oh, it's cloudy here and it's
Michael
sunny
Fish
there.
maybe, or is that a while ago that one?
You guys used to do this morning, you jumped near the
I remember that.
That's a wee one, innit?
But I think we noticed a big difference as well in our kind of full-back positions, I'd say, for the last kind of 6 months. I think the ball retention and the distribution that Alistair Johnston and Greg Taylor, they've taken their game to a new level with that regard. You're seeing them making kind of passes in field like they are midfielders that have got great technical ability, and that's maybe helping us go forward and keep the ball for kind of coming back our way and kind of hurting us with other teams. So I think sometimes the guys go under the radar, like kind of Greg Taylor and Alistair Johnston, but I think they've really upped their game and they're becoming massive assets towards our style of play.
I think Alistair Johnston is one of the first names in the team sheet for me, to be honest, because his aggression, because his ball retention, he's just his energy alone, you know, it just covers that whole right hand side of the ring for the entire game, which really helps Kuhn push on as well. It really sort of they work well together there. I think Greg Taylor, honestly, since Greg Taylor signed for Celtic, I think he's probably one of the most improved players we've had. Just in terms of where he was, where he came from when he first signed for Celtic, and to see the player he's developed into now, it's like, I think it's like night and day. I know Ryan might have other ideas.
He's sitting there rattling, man. He's sitting there shaking. I can feel him shaking when you're saying that.
I just think in terms of where he was as a player at Commander, I remember him at Commander 100%. Quite well. I just think he's became a far better player. But I think that's because he's worked under guys like Ange and Brendan.
Well,
they've improved him.
Sorry, Alan. Do you not think if Greg Taylor drops out the team, most Celtic fans now are going, we miss Greg Taylor?
I think that has happened. I think obviously the boy for Barcelona, Alex Valle, I think it's obviously come in and he actually done all right on Saturday night. I felt he done quite well, to set up obviously the goal. I think time will tell whether he is the right understudy for him. But I agree with you before Alex Valle there. I think we're really struggling with Bernabei. He really just wasn't cutting it. We were looking at it saying, no, a lot of Celtic fans, and even me, I was saying this last year when we were in Champions League, we're really weak on that side of the defence. You know, Scales and Taylor struggle at this level. But if Taylor's not there now, I'm saying to myself, I could really need him in now because, do you know what I mean? You can just, I think he's reliable now, but I do think the left-hand side of your defence has been the weakest. But I think, again, Scales is another player I just feel is just really improved because he's 100%. Just played consistently. Consistently played.
That's what I was going to say about tonight. Obviously, we've had kind of problems in the past with the left-hand side being targeted with our defence, but both Scales and Taylor have had a great start to the season, and this is probably the acid test for them tonight. To see if they're still making the kind of mistakes that are making other teams kind of target that side of the pitch, or have they taken it up another level that we can rely on these guys in big occasions against kind of massive sides like we're playing tonight. So yeah, it's definitely a massive test tonight, and that kind of acid test, if I said, to see what level they've taken their game to.
Yeah, definitely.
You see, obviously, I know people have a laugh about me and Greg Taylor and Scales, but I've pointed out for a long time that it's no that they're bad players, it's when we go to this next level, when you don't do things well, they get highlighted even more. So when Scales and Taylor don't do the things, I know people go, McGregor doesn't do it and Hatate and it, but when you do a certain part of the field, you get punishment. So if Hatate loses the ball at the top of the field, you've still got all that to get through. But if Scales or Taylor, or even if it's John, but predominantly it's the left-hand side for me, if you make a mistake there, if you've got Donny Marlin or you've got the guy, I can't remember the name of the guy for Stuttgart, if they get the ball, they're scoring. But guys at Ross County, Aberdeen, St Mirren, maybe know he's ruthless as them, but if Scales or Taylor mistake a pass or they lose the ball in the midfield, they don't mark their man, the body positions. I've noticed that with Taylor sometimes in Europe, his body positions, he's no side on for the guy coming, he's always, and that's what I think. I don't want to, people think maybe I'm bullying them or I'm just wanting the best guys on the park, and I think there'll be this tonight in the Atlanta game, even Barry Bannon says that this is where they'll get judged if they've improved to play at this level. Because it's already doing it against, obviously, St Johnstone, St Mirren, Aberdeen, even them across the water, Rangers, still a good level, you still need to do well, but when you go to this level, I think that's where your frailties get highlighted more, and if you can do it better then I can go, do you know what, maybe there are guys that are going to help us to that level, but whether until we see it, then I think that's a different question.
I think we obviously
do you know what I want to just add quickly add to that? Do you know what I think changes that now for me? Casper. I think he's brought a certain level of confidence now that those guys like Scales and, you know, the centre backs at least, they know there's somebody really on it behind them, and they know that. I watched the Kilmarnock game back, and there was a passage I played in the game where we were playing out for the back, and Casper played a pass into the midfield to Hatate. Now, no disrespect, I don't want to be disrespect, I love Joe Hart, but for me, Joe Hart doesn't make that pass, he doesn't see that pass.
I agree.
Yeah. So that pass then goes to either Carter Vickers or Scales.
Puts them under pressure.
If you remember back to the Leipzig game where Joe, he ultimately cost us a goal for being asked to play the way he wanted, the manager wanted him to play. However, Casper knows how to clip the ball differently for me than Joe Hart. Joe Hart's playing a straight pass, which is dodgy in itself, coming for that side. However, Casper can then put zip. I mean, look at the way he threw the ball out to Maeda against Hearts. He swerved it like a bowling ball. So he's got that extra quality in my opinion.
Yeah, he does, distribution.
And the confidence level from Casper, and speaking, I think Casper also helps Scales and Taylor with the way they play, because see when he passes it to them, he passes it onto the side that they play from. He doesn't put them in trouble, he doesn't have, they don't have to take a touch.
Yeah.
So for me, that makes a difference for him.
I think it does. As I said, I think Casper's distribution is a lot better than what Joe's is, and I think that's why it's almost a hand in glove. Excuse the goalkeeping pun. But hand in glove coming out of this team. I think exactly. I know. I was waiting on that. You can add that sound effect in later. So I think it is. It just fits perfectly into your squad in terms of what we're doing. I think it is going to be a test. I think everyone needs to obviously realise that, you know, us playing week in week out in Scotland is different from us going and playing in Champions League. There is a massive gulf in terms of level there. So that's a challenge that Brendan and the players have got. They've got to really rise to that challenge. And I think guys like Greg Taylor and Liam Scales, it's going to be a big test for them tonight, but hopefully they'll do well.
That's what I'm thinking about as well. Obviously, this is the big test tonight with the likes of everyone, not just Scales and Taylor. But you look at kind of European games where, in a comparison, when you look at the Scottish League, the players maybe get 5 seconds in the ball. Whether tonight they'll maybe get 2 or 3 seconds, so that they need to be a lot quicker, decisive. Kyogo might get 5 or 6 chances in a normal league game. Tonight he might only get 1 or 2, so it needs to be a lot more clinical. We need to have everything going for us tonight, and probably a wee bit of rubbing the green as well.
Yeah, definitely.
But it'll be interesting to see if our players, what standard we've achieved and how high a level we're playing at present, and it'll be very interesting to see that tonight.
Yeah, and William, obviously yourself, you're here to do a wee breakdown on the way Dortmund play.
Yeah.
For anybody that's maybe that knows Borussia Dortmund as a team, I says last night on the dial-in, if you don't know Borussia Dortmund, you probably will do by the time this episode goes out, because I'm expecting good things here, so I've been looking forward to this, lads. I don't know about yous, but so fire away, mate.
So I think people, obviously Borussia Dortmund's a massive club, a massive club in Germany, massive club in Europe as well. They're obviously in the Champions League final last year, but I think everyone obviously at home and everyone sort of watching needs to understand that looking into Borussia Dortmund, if you look a bit deeper, they're definitely a club in transition at the minute, and that's not just on the field, that's above and in the office and running the club itself. So the obviously managing director left last year. Former player Lars Ricken took over as the CEO of the club. He's come in with some new ideas. He was actually in charge of the academy at Borussia Dortmund, but he's come in now. A guy called Sven Mislintat, I can't pronounce his name, but he used to be the Arsenal scout. I don't know if you remember Unai Emery. He was recently at Ajax, only lasted a few months there, right enough, but he was there right at the start with Jurgen Klopp, and he was responsible for bringing in some young players that Jurgen then developed, and then they got to the Champions League final. He's came back, but also they've got Sebastian Kehl was there as sporting director, and Matthias Sammer is still involved in the club on a consultant level. Now, out of those 4 guys, those are 4 big, and I mean big personalities. If anyone knows German football, those guys have all got an opinion, and that opinion doesn't always agree with each other. So there has been a bit of, it's not crisis stage, I would say, upstairs in the boardroom, but there's been players being signed, and there's been rumours and stories coming out in Germany that Maj didn't know anything about it. Sven Mislintat wasn't involved in it. Lars Ricken and Sebastian Kehl done their own thing.
Somebody else like Marion Shed and stuff like that.
Exactly. Similar to what happened to us a few years back. So they obviously, they've had a bit of transition. Obviously Tedric has left, who obviously got them to the final last year. Understudy Nouri Sahin has came up to to become the manager, but he only came in, I think, halfway through the season last year. He came in, he was a manager at Antalyaspor in Turkey, and then came in to work under Tedric. So there's a lot of change and upheaval at the club. Now, on the playing front, they've lost Hummels. Ian Maatsen went to Aston Villa, he was obviously on loan for Chelsea. Nicholas Füllkrug went to West Ham, Marco Reus has left and went to America, Sebastian Haller's been put on loan, and obviously Jadon Sancho had left on loan as well.
Sebastian Haller been put on loan?
Sebastian Haller's left on loan. I think he went to France, I don't know which club he went to, it might have been France. He went to I don't remember which club it was, but and obviously Jadon Sancho went back off his loan as well. But all of those players played and featured in the Champions League final last year.
Those guys who contributed.
That's 6 players that contributed in the Champions League final last year that they've lost. Now, to obviously try and bring guys, they've obviously tried to bring guys in, but as I said, the guys upstairs have all got sort of different ideas of what type of player they're bringing in. So they've signed Maxi Bier, who came in from Hoffenheim. They've signed the boy Anton and Guirassy as the striker you were alluding to earlier on, both from Stuttgart. Jan Kotos came in on loan from Man City, and Pascal Gross, who people will probably know from Brighton, has come in as well. So they've went down a little bit of the experience route there, but they've actually spent, losing all the players they've lost, they've actually spent, their net transfer spend is like 40 million, minus 40 million, so they've spent 40 million on top of the players that they've sold. So there has been a bit of upheaval there in terms of how they're trying to bring new players in to do it. So there's going to be a bedding in period because they've lost 6 key players, I would say, in their team, or key squad players, and they've brought these new guys in. So that's in terms of what they've been doing off the field. In terms of how they've been playing, they've obviously lost a couple of games that you've probably seen. I think they lost really badly to Stuttgart. Sorry, I think they lost one game and they drew one game, so they lost really badly to Stuttgart, but they kind of took note of it. Defensively they were really bad that night. But the interesting thing, looking back over the data and watching how they've been playing, is the manager has really had 3 different formations in the space of 6 games, which kind of tells me he doesn't really have a really working formula yet in terms of, how do I get all these players to work on the field and what's the right structure. And again, back to when Nuri Sahin was the manager of Antalyaspor, he played 4-2-3-1, which we're all probably familiar with. Celtic have played that before as well. But in games this year, he's played 3 at the back, he's done 3-4-3, and he's done 4-4-1-1. And what I think he's trying to do is he's trying to get the new guys in and try to fit them into where the squad is. And I think he's really trying to find the winning formula. But in terms of, they played Bochum on Friday night, they played 4-2-3-1, which is kind of what I've shown here. So they had Kobel at the back, they had Jan Kutu, Schlotterbeck, and I think it was Anton that started in the middle of the centre backs, and then left back was Rearson. Now, talking about the defensive line,
that's a Norwegian boy, isn't it?
Aye. So talking about the defensive line, they've not had the same defensive line in any game this year. There's always been a change, whether that's been Nicholas Sewell's probably come in for Schlotterbeck, Rearson's been right back, they've had another left back in. It's not been the same in any game. It's not settled at all, not settled. And I think that's part of the problem that they're finding defensively at the minute. They don't have a set defensive unit, and I think that's an issue. Middle of the park's been a wee bit different as well. Emre Can, everybody probably remember Emre Can from Liverpool, and Pascal Gross is sort of fitted in there, but Emre Can's been in and out the team a wee bit. He's been going with a guy called Felix Nemetja, who's kind of a young player who's been coming through.
He's at Man City, that boy, wasn't he?
I think so, I think he might, because I think Dortmund tend to do that. They tend to bring a lot of Man City players in and sort of develop them. Like Jan Kutu's obviously came in on loan. So, but he's been in and out the team a wee bit, which is a bit strange because I'm pretty sure he is the captain, the actual club captain. So he's been coming in and out a wee bit. Another player is Marcel Sabitzer. You'll probably remember him from Man United.
He was playing him out wide, didn't he?
He's been playing. So I was going to say that. So he's been playing here on the right wing, but he's recently come out. There's reports in Germany they've had a bit of a bust up. He's basically said, that's not my position. Sabitzer's a 10 for me, or an 8, really.
Well, Brendan actually alluded to that in his presser last night. Yeah, I watched it last night, and he actually says Marcel Sabitzer's going through a wee bit of a transition just now because he's not happy with the position he's been asked to play.
So he's not. So reports have come out and based. So I don't think he's going to feature tonight because he wasn't even in the squad on Friday.
Obviously not.
No.
Right.
So I think they're going to run with Emre Can, Pascal Gross. They'll probably go with Adeyemi on the right. I think Julian Brandt was normally coming out of that 10 role, which I think Sabitzer should really play because I think Brandt's more of a wide guy. But Julian Brandt will be there. This one's a wee bit difficult. Jamie Gittins is a player I really like. He is rapid. He's one of the fastest players I think probably in Europe. But he came off with an injury on Friday night, so it might be Daniel Malin might even play on the left hand side, and then obviously up front is Guirassy, he is a fantastic player to be fair. Like they've brought Guirassy in really to get them the goals they need this year. He scored a lot of goals for Stuttgart last year. I think it was like 28 or 30 goals he scored last year for them. So that's the sort of structure that they're probably going to set up with. I think they'll probably stick with that, given the second half performance of the Bochum game, because the first half performance was all over the place. In terms of what they do with the ball, so really it's not too dissimilar to what Celtic do. They tend to play full-backs coming forward. They'll probably interchange with the wingers. They'll probably drop into the half space and move in here inverted, allowing the wing backs to go ahead. So it sort of becomes a sort of 2-4-3-1 formation when they've got the ball. Again, when they lose the ball, they'll probably go back to that set 4-2-3-1 formation. These two guys here, Pascal Gross is a player that used to get a lot of goals for Brighton, but he seems to be a lot deeper for some reason at Borussia Dortmund. I think you'll probably see him float up here a wee bit, but those two guys' jobs really to act as like a double pivot is what they call it in sort of football tactical terms.
William, what likes their speed through the sixes, because I've heard they're pretty slow.
They are. So you've got these two guys here, basically a double six, double pivot, right? So basically their jobs really get the ball, shift the ball out wide or shift the ball through the breaking lines, but they aren't quick with it at the minute for some reason. It doesn't seem to be clicking for whatever reason that might be. When they've got the ball, especially when they've got the ball and they're in that sort of 2-4-3-1 formation, they're very slow to react.
Do you think that's
to get back?
We can then obviously use if that's when Taylor and Johnson can nip in, get to Maeda, and then
here
they can nip in.
When Johnson and that do that brings almost brings an extra midfielder into that position.
Yeah, it does.
And obviously they two have got good legs as well. But I'm just thinking of Bernardo, if he starts, Engels and then McGregor, they can all cover the ground pretty well.
Yeah, they will.
If they are pretty slow, then I reckon that's something that we could exploit tonight in terms of getting in about them.
So I think if you look at one of the goals on Friday night for Bochum, they actually played a 1-2. Player had it here, then he basically had it through and the guy scored. These two guys were panicking there because they're going like, shit, I don't have any help for this guy, I don't have any help for this guy. So these two guys were panicking and they were struggling in the first half because this was constantly happening. They were getting into plays into here, it was 3v2 here, or they were getting down here. So that is an area that Celtic will try and exploit, 100%. I think what Celtic will try and do as well is, whether it's Bernardo, McGregor or Engels, they'll put pressure on they two to really try and force an error. I think that's one of the triggers for pressing. They're going to identify that. Are they
suspect to being ruffled?
Yeah, right, absolutely. Okay. Because I think if you look at one of the the second goal I think it was against Bochum, the goalkeeper's out here, he ended up here, passed the ball back, he was panicking at this point because there was no one really, Pascal Gross wasn't really giving him an option and Bochum had really pushed right up on them, and I think that's what Celtic will do. And then the goalkeeper eventually lost the ball and then they obviously scored the tap in. So they are a team to be got at, 100% team to be got at. I know everyone said they go to Champions League finish, it's a different team. This is a different animal we're against tonight.
The game on Friday and what you're saying and looking at the kind of centre halves as well, I think between the centre half and the full backs is definitely an area that your kind of wingers can.
Yeah, that half space there. So that's what we call, you've
got to remember as well, they play Adeyemi and he likes to get high. He's not going to be able to do that if Maeda's there.
Yeah.
Because he's going to have to worry about going that way.
Yeah, he's got to push him back.
I've seen Adeyemi do it and he's not comfortable going back.
So as we call it, the half space, the space between the wing and the centre, that half space zone is where we're good. We tend to get into these zones and cut it back. That's exactly how we play. Dortmund are going to know that though, that's the thing. So it's going to be interesting to see how much these guys are going to want to get forward and how quickly they're going to get back. But I definitely think there is a weakness in that setup there. If Jan Kutu starts, he's young, he's a bit inexperienced at this level. He could struggle there, but he might go a wee bit different. He might even flip Rierson over here and bring Ben Sabani in at left back.
Yeah.
But Jan Kutu is definitely a player that we can get at. I think that we're going to rely on Kyogo really putting pressure on the two centre backs and really putting pressure on Kutu and looking at Kutu as really like a pressing victim is what we would call it. Really putting a lot of pressure on, if it is him, put a lot of pressure on him, could really cause a mistake.
The way you're saying there, if that's the way Celtic are going to go, if he gets, well, Brendan talked about triggers, do you think he gets the ball, it's right going?
Aye, I think that's what they'll do, yeah. I think they'll do that. I think they're going to...
Our guys will have their information now that, as William's saying there, like, Engels will know when to hit Gross if he's going to hit him. But if Bernardo's going to close Emre Can down.
Especially if they knock the ball back to the goalie and they're looking for that pass, you were talking about that straight pass Joe Hart used to always play. They're looking for that straight pass through to Pascal Gross or Emre Can, because both of them tend to fall back here when the keepers get the ball. Those two guys tend to push up. Those guys will go wide, he'll try and drop in here. You're looking for somebody to come in there and try and nip away and get the ball. Whether it's McGregor, Engels or whoever, Bernardo, whatever.
Obviously the way we do it in kind of packs. So we do it sometimes with two, sometimes even three, depending on the opposition.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
But I know tonight we'll not want exploited, because we'll not want to leave our six exploited and kind give our full-backs more to do and defence.
But that bit's important that you said there, because if our guys come up and put pressure onto the two centre midfielders, if they get the ball by them, you know, that negate, that completely takes our pressure out of the game. So what we're relying on is it's probably going to be Scales and Trusty. We're looking for them to be up here, not back there, up here. Compress the space, because there's going to be a big void here that Julian Brandt will try and get involved in. So we're really going to need to push the defensive line right up to the halfway line and rely on probably Trusty's pace to deal with it over the top. Because Gerassi's quick, Gerassi is fast and physical.
He's a big athlete, that boy.
Gerassi is quick and fast. I think we're going to need to rely on that and look at it that way. That would probably be the most aggressive approach I think Celtic would take on this game tonight, but I don't see why you shouldn't take that approach, because see, let's be honest, it's probably, looking at the fixtures, the hardest game we've probably got is Dortmund away, I would say so.
Treat
it like a free hit.
William, this is a free hit because of the fact that it's a one-off. It's a final. So this is a one-off. We've only got one chance to play them. It's not like in 2 weeks' time they're coming back to Celtic Park.
We get beat, and you go back, did we get beat? Right, look at it, we learn from it. If we go there and get a point, it's amazing. If we go there and get 3 points, unbelievable. Do you know what I mean? So it's a free hit for me. So that's in terms of how they're going to be set. In terms of their strengths, Gerassi's probably a key man to that. He'll look to just try and get into those channels of spaces between, again, getting in between the centre back and the full backs. He's quick, he's powerful, he can score. If you give him 1 or 2 chances, he'll probably score at least one of them.
That's what I mean in terms of, like, obviously, not just Taylor and Scales, but the full back line. In Scotland, you make a mistake, maybe they're not going to score a goal, I'm not ruthless.
But this level, mate.
If we mistake a pass, or Scales or Taylor give the ball away, or the man's no tight, he's away, and then that's what I mean in terms of the level, like you said there, the level is different from St Johnstone to Dortmund. If we make that odd mistake, because there was, I don't want to be nitpicking, but there was one, I think, when me and Al were watching it, there was one in the first half where the St Johnstone boys running through, Trusty and Scales were together, Scales didn't know where the guy was, Trusty got him, but if he did that with that guy, I think it's a goal.
You're in trouble.
But see, in that moment now, see me go back to that, if you look at that back, watch it back, it's as if he's communicated to him to stop, because Scales just stops, and I'm like, why are you stopping? He just stops deep. I know the one you're talking about, and is that the one he knits away?
The way Scales was, but it seems that Dino Trusty was there until he turned round and seen him. If you do that with this guy, I
think it was a late shout as well. I know what you're saying.
If that happens in the night,
it does. Most likely will be a goal, 100%.
But it's a different kind of mindset as well that players need to be switched on to.
I think, well, definitely from our defensive perspective, it needs to be error-free tonight, and I mean error-free. No miss-hit passes, no giving the ball away in their own half, that sort of thing tonight, because we will be punished, and they can be punished, because every one of these players here that are the 4 attacking players for Borussia Dortmund are all fast, and they will get behind you, and if once they get behind you, you're in a bit of, you're up shit's creek a wee bit at that point, because they're going to get in behind you and try and cut it back and score. So I think that, like you said, Gerassi's one definitely to watch. In terms of how they play, they basically play, it's very similar to how we do it. They try and get into these half spaces, look for the overlap, cross the ball in, big Gerassi and Julian Brandt coming in at the back, maybe Pascal Gross coming in there as well. Chan will probably sit here, but again, high lines, guys all attacking, that's the sort of idea that they've got.
But surely they can't, I mean, what you're saying there, William, with the high lines, right? We've also got players that'll hit that,
100%.
So we've got legs that'll go the other way.
Exactly.
And if they come too high, they're going to, like Stuttgart, they're going to be punished for that.
So what happened in the Stuttgart game is this is what they were doing, but their reaction to go from attack to defence, that transitional moment was slow, and they were a bit all over the place. It was a bit like, right, well, we need to hurry back, but there wasn't any sort of like structure to it in terms of how they were doing it. So that's why Stuttgart kept punishing them in the game, and then I think at half time they changed it up, they changed the formation and realised this isn't working. So I think they will try and do that tonight and put us under pressure, but I think we've got to look for, if it's McGregor comes onto the ball, look for that out ball to Kuhn, maybe through here into that bit of space, or if it's Maeda on this side and Kyogo getting in between these guys, because getting in between, sometimes in games for the last 2 or 3 games I've watched the Borussia Dortmund, the 2 centre backs seem to be quite wide apart for some reason, and I think it's probably because they've changed the partnership that much that they're not really used to each other and where they need to be in terms of space. So there's gaps here as well that we can exploit in the
Is it still the lad Kobo?
Aye, Kobo's in goals, aye.
Okay.
Kobo's still in goals.
Is he good with the ball at his feet? Distribution wise?
From what I've seen so far, he looked a wee bit, he was panicking in the Bochum game, but they were all panicking in the Bochum game, do you know what I mean? They didn't look settled at all. Second half he was better, I would say. But okay. I think he's okay. I wouldn't say, I'd probably say Schmeichel's better than him, if that was a comparison I could put across. But again, that's something that we need to do. We need to put him under that pressure to test him, to see if he can handle it.
One or two presses, we'll find out how this guy is under pressure, especially in there. And normally in the first half, if they're playing, the yellow wall's right behind Coble. So normally he's got that kind of confidence boost. But if we put that under pressure, that yellow wall will be silenced, because I've seen it happen.
Especially for the start,
I've seen it happen, because I've seen the yellow wall bouncing, and then all of a sudden the team go a goal ahead and the yellow wall, like,
here we go. Something like you've said there. See, if we do get it's one of the bands, right? You get an early goal, you could upset the stadium, but you could
make them angry.
You could wake a sleeping bear. So
PSG.
It's one of the bands. I know people are going to think, Ryan, you're talking crazy here, but I think if we score an early goal, it could be they'll just open the floodgates. So is it containing it early doors for them, and
so.
then maybe counter-attack them again?
I think it probably could be that, because in the Bochum game, Bochum silenced that stadium.
Yeah, they did.
On Friday night.
But they also kept the ball really well.
They did, but then I don't know what happened. It just all changed in the second half. I think Bochum lost a wee bit of steam in the game, and then when they get the goal back, that takes a wee bit of belief away from them as well. So I think if Celtic go there and get the early goal, it will all be about protecting that goal, but then obviously try to punish them because they'll be chasing it at that point, but really try to punish them in these areas that we spoke about. I think that'll be key.
Cautious, because we've seen so many times in the past in Europe where we've given away silly goals, gifts, shall we say. So for Santa Claus, we've given away gifts in the first few minutes. So I would try and remain cautious. I don't know if I'm being a bit negative in that terms, but I would try and remain cautious and keep your back door shut, make sure that it's 0-0, get into the kind of half an hour stage, and then see where the game is. Let's settle into the game first, and then see how we can progress.
Like William,
I know what you're
I'm
saying.
Probably aggressive in you. That's probably what it is.
Like William says, that's not the way the game's going to play tonight. We're not going to go there and sit here. We're not going to sit in there. That's not happening.
I'm going to sit like that,
probably. But I think see if you listen to Brendan and the way that he's talking about the way we're playing, but he's talking about now doing it at a higher level. So he knows these guys like Engels. These guys have got that in them, because he's played in the Bundesliga every week.
Yeah, he's been there before.
I think me personally, I don't think he probably will do it, right? But I think if we go full 3-3, I think we're going to be suspect. I know he will do it because that's the way we're ingrained, and that's, like JP says, it's muscle memory for these players. That's the formation, that's how we play. But you can go full 3-3, right? But when you turn into the attack, defensive, the offensive, you might need to go to a 5-4-1 or a 4-5-1.
That'll happen,
you will need to be compact, because I think we're very suspect in terms of, in transition, in terms of abroad. Because, like you've mentioned there, the guys up front are very, very quick. You get the ball to them, and I think Scales isn't that quick, Taylor's no too quick, Trusty is quick, so is Johnson, but I think they will target that hand side, the left hand side. And I think if you get that ball quick, I think we'll be away, we'll be, sure. I think that's why I think we need to be tweak it, because I think if we go gung-ho, me personally, you'll know more through the data and analysis, and I don't think we've got the manpower to attack for so long, and then to defend, because I think defensively we'll be suspect if we do that.
But you defend with your counter press, so.
No, but defensively that side, going forward.
You mean
going forward, you defend for the front, right? I'm only going for match point. We're playing up front, you defend for the front, and the full team pushes up. But I just feel that if we do that too much, with these guys up front, it's a wee clip here, and I think.
I don't think Celtic pretty flexible that way though.
I don't think
transition for that.
Yeah, they will. I think they are, because that when everyone talks about when Maeda's sprinting back to the right back position or the left back position, whatever, and Kuhn's coming back to help in those positions as well. That's us in transition. That's us getting bodies back. I think there was a game. Was it the Rangers game or the Slovan Bratislava? I can't remember. Kyogo was back here somewhere.
He chased the guy full line for
they're back here. So I think that's been drilled into the team, that they've got to be in transitional moments, getting numbers back to protect our box, protect our goal. But I do think that like you said, they're not going to do this for the full 90 minutes. They're probably going to go out. They might start off quick and go, right, let's do it. Right, 15 minutes at the game, let's try and get a bit more cautious, try and drop into maybe like a wee bit of a sort of high mid block rather than just a high block. They'll maybe try and do that and then see how the game sort of develops at that point. I think Rodgers did say that this year, that he sort of learned for the experiences he's had with Celtic in Europe. You need to box clever at times, and I think at that level you definitely have to.
We've not got the players to go toe to toe quality wise with teams like this, so we need to find what a backdoor way of getting something for these, of being successful, and whether that be changing up the tactics, making a wee tweak here and there, try and take advantage of any weaknesses that you're saying.
Yep.
So that's how I'm saying being over cautious. Kind of, we can't go toe to toe with these kind of teams because these teams will rip you to shreds.
But can we know because they're game one-off games? No,
I don't think so.
Nah.
But they're one-off games though.
But what I'll say about this game is, definitely about this game is, Borussia Dortmund are the team under pressure here. We're not the team under pressure.
Yeah.
And I think that plays into this game here a lot. You know, there's mumblings already about Nuri Sahin potentially leaving because of how they've been, how their performances have been.
I've listened to his presser, by the way. He's bummed us up in some of the ultras.
That's what he's trying to do. I think he's trying to shove the pressure away a bit from him to say, oh well, Celtic are the underdogs here. He's trying to play that down.
Don't want to say a miracle, but see we do get evicted tonight. I think he's potentially maybe going to get his...
He'll be under pressure,
I
mate.
think if we lose in the way William's saying, if we hurt them really badly and we get a couple of goals out of it, and then just if we're talking about their transitions don't seem to happen, if it happens like that, they wonder.
Depend on the performance.
I'm William, because of the evidence we've seen in the past with Celtic Europe. I don't go into these games no full of hope, but I don't expect us to do anything.
I can understand that, given
the facts and the evidence have said to us that we don't travel well. Like Alan says, we make the silly mistakes that we don't do in Scotland. And I just think this is a massive test. Obviously, it's a massive test for Dortmund as well, because they've maybe not faced some of the attacking phases that we're going to do in Germany. Obviously, well, you'll know more than me in terms of Germany.
Stuttgart are probably a bit similar to us.
And him. About the dark arts of the game.
Is that something that you think? For me, William, right, with Joe Hart, right, I think Casper might be a bit more, no experience, but a bit more maybe savvy. Right? We're maybe nothing each with them we did at home, which you'll take, right. And Joe Hart, I know it's muscle memory, it's what Ange wanted, even with Brendan. We're getting the body to being quick. See if we're 60 minutes in Dortmund.
Casper's not like that though.
No, but you've got to, sometimes, I don't want to go against the manager, right, but you own the park, the manager's not own the park, so if you see something that you need to
take the sting,
take 5 seconds, take 10 seconds, take the shy for there, no ref, go back that way, okay. I think we don't do that, and especially we don't dare to be silly.
John McGinn back.
I know we've.
Do you know what I think?
I know VAR now, we can't now do all this elbow stuff now, right?
Yeah.
But see, we don't do that.
Do you know what I think is different with this side though?
Have we?
This team's very experienced together now. And for me in the Bratislava game, they showed like a team that's been together for quite some time. And I just think over the time, as you're saying, William, earlier on, they've learned how to, you know, guys like Engels, for me he's a clever player, very clever player, and he knows when to go, when to pass, when not to. He's probably one of the ones you can rely on tonight to go, he'll take the sting out of the game for you. And he knows how to do it, especially in that arena, because I love these presser when they asked him about the atmosphere. He says, we've got a better atmosphere at Celtic Park. He's like, we can play at Celtic Park, you can play anywhere. He says, it's only another pitch, it's only another stadium. We've got a fanatical fan base that come and support our club every second week at Celtic Park. There's 60,000. I don't know how big the Dortmund's pitch is.
70, I think.
70? Right, okay. So, this isn't something new to us. And we go away to Ibrox to a cauldron of noise as well. And we play...
This is what I'm a bit cautious about.
I'm not frightened at all.
I'm not frightened.
It's the level, isn't it? It's a step in level. It definitely is a step in level, and I think we were talking about it earlier about people having the acid test. It definitely is going to be. I think especially from Dortmund's wide men, they're going to look to get one-on-one with the fullbacks, and to be honest, you'd probably take them to beat us a one-on-one with the wide players that they've got. But that's when Maeda and Kuhn need to come in and need to do that for the full game and really come in and give that 2v1 numerical advantage to stop them doing that and stop them playing down the wide areas. Listen, I think if we can do that, have a error-free game, like everybody needs to have a brilliant game tonight, we can definitely get something like this, I feel.
Don't get me wrong, see we a bit of an hour to go, I'll be sitting there and I'll be texting them and I'll be going, 3-0 to the Celtic. But see, that's in my heart, but in your head you're breaking this down, you're saying kind of, I know it's a lot of the players are different, but it's Champions League finalists, there's a core of that team that was involved as well. They are kind of playing in a massively higher league. They've been among kind of Europe's elite for a number of years now, when it's not necessarily been expected to keep up to that level, because there has been wins over kind of higher level teams, you'd say, that weren't really expected. So it's going to be a massive test, a monumental test. If we do manage to get anything out of this, I think it will be a massive result, very impressive result. But I'm being kind of cautious at present, because when you think about it in your head, as I say, I don't think we can go toe to toe with them. I think we've got a great coach and a great manager in regards to Brendan Rodgers, and I'm hoping that he's seen a couple of things that we'll know. He's seen a couple of weaknesses in regards to Dortmund that we can exploit.
I don't know about any goals, lads, but I'm feeling a bit more confident now. To know that there's this mob of suspect. To know that this mob of suspect, and know where I know now that what I was thinking before coming here today is what I was thinking is where we can hurt them.
That you obviously have looked at, you think is you can mention in the game in terms of Dortmund to us, like, how can we combat them, and how do you think they will obviously combat us as well?
I think so the approach is strange though, like watching their games and even looking at the data as well, in terms of how they press. They don't seem to press as a unit, which is really weird.
Is it on individuals?
A bit like that. So what you tend to find is this area here, they're really high intense pressures, but everywhere else is quite low in terms of that. What tends to happen is Guirassy, honestly, he'll just run all day. Like he'll be running through, shutting down Schmeichel, he'll be shutting down Trusty Scales, he'll be chasing everything. The wide guys tend to come up and put pressure on. Rearson will probably do the same, but there seems to be a gap that tends to form between these two double pivot guys, Gross and Chan, and the forward line. That's an area that we can exploit, because when they're pressing us, we can get McGregor dropping into that area of space and beat that line of pressure. It then takes 4 guys out the
Casper will be key there to beat that line.
Well, he can do it as well, aye. Yeah. But even if the centre backs are on the ball or the full backs are on the ball and they're maybe coming over a bit like this, there's an angle there to break that pressure, that line of pressure there. To get on the ball, they'll probably then engage, but then we can then develop the ball forward, because then you're getting Kuhn and Maeda one-on-one with their full-back at that point.
Do you remember the boy Kuto? Do you remember him playing against Rangers for Braga? He looked really suspect having to go back away.
He's really young. He's a loan, I believe it's a loan. I don't know if it's maybe an option to buy, but he was one, looking back over the reports, that apparently he was a Rick Sebastian Kehl signing, and the guy they've brought in to be the Minsalat came in is like he was like one of their best scouts, but he didn't do too great at Arsenal. They signed a lot of rubbish at Arsenal. Really didn't really do well. He went to Ajax, lasted 4 months because apparently he was doing a dodgy deal with an agent and he was getting a cut off it or something like that. That's been reported, a bit like that. So he's went back to Dortmund, wee bit, I think, with tail between his legs, but he came out and said I didn't have anything to do with that, nothing to do with that signing. I went against it. So the guys upstairs are even agreeing who's signing for the club. I think Nuri Sahin is in a really difficult position as the manager. He's been promoted and elevated to become the manager. He's trying to find a formula here to make it work, especially with the new guys that have come in. Anton, the centre back, was signed for like 26 million. Guirassy was signed for about 20 odd million. Maxi Bier, who's not even been playing, I think he started 1 game for Hoffenheim, he was about 20 odd million as well. And they can't find a solution to get them all playing together.
He's a relatively young age as a manager.
He is.
So do you think he's maybe with this kind of power struggle at the top of Dortmund?
Probably struggling with that. Aye, a wee bit.
He's been used basically.
Or maybe he's not used to that scenario and he's gone, how do I deal with this, Like, do I need to find how I get Maxi Bier and Guirassy maybe to play together and play 2 up front? Does it work? Does it affect me defensively? I think he's in a really difficult position, to be honest.
Engels, I know obviously I've spoke to you previously before Engels, and you were really kind of complimentary about him, and obviously watching
when he was coming in,
How, do you think he is, obviously he was signed for this type of night, but do you think having him here, obviously he's young, but the experience of playing in obviously that league, and I don't want to say, possibly playing maybe some better players against better players, do you think they know how him being here and added to some of the experience before, how highly do you rate him in terms of, see like the data and stuff like that? Do you think we're, I don't want to say lucky, but how have we got?
It's a coup. It's a massive coup. Massive.
100% for a boy for the Bundesliga.
Honestly, it's a massive. I said it to, I don't know if I said it to you at the time, Ryan, but there was loads of people asking me about him. And I said, he's an upgrade on O'Reilly. Forget about O'Reilly. Well, forget about O'Reilly. I said, he's an upgrade. A total upgrade for me. And I think he has. Defensively, he's brilliant. He's just a complete all-rounder for a midfielder.
He's more mobile and all, and off the ball. Like I says to you, he knows.
He's been highly rated for a long time when he was coming through at Belgium, and the Belgians were raving about him. Obviously got to move to the Bundesliga really to try and cut his teeth in. But he was one of the best performances for that Augsburg team.
The thing for me is he looks fine, finally. Maybe it's Nakamura. Possibly we'll finally get a guy who can take set pieces. Because I think that's one thing we lack in. We don't score enough goals.
The work these corners are really
we don't.
He's done that in the Bratislava game, didn't he, for Scales' goal?
I don't feel we score enough. I think we've only scored 1 or 2 goals for Eaters in the last few months. I don't think we score a lot of goals from set pieces. And we'll finally get a guy who can take penalties, score goals, free kicks, corners, and I think that's maybe something giant. How are they at set pieces? I don't watch Dortmund as much as I used to, but how are they defensively at set pieces?
I think defensively they've been okay at set pieces. I think they're pretty much zonal marking in terms of where the set pieces are at the minute. Looking over some of that, they've not really scored many set pieces this year. They don't really look a threat from that. But don't get me wrong, Guirassi's a big physical guy. Like if he's in that box, he is a danger. Needs to be marked tightly. I think that most of the goals have came from open play this year. So, but I think defensively they probably could be got at. But I think they do probably have the two centre halves are pretty big guys. Like even Nicolas Schuller's a big guy. Schlotterbeck, Anton, they're all physical big defenders.
In terms of our play, then it's got to be body feet and hold it in.
I think so. I think so. Yeah. I think that. I think really just try and exploit the frailties that they've got at the minute, especially in that defensive line. As I said, they've not had the same defensive line in any games. He keeps chopping and changing that. That's given a bit of upheaval, a bit of nervousness probably within the squad, I would say as well. There's also, as I said, there's reports Marcel Sabitzer saying he's not playing right wing anymore, so he's fell out with the manager. There's players that have been bought that the manager don't even know about, or the guy who's meant to be squad planning, they're calling it, the squad planner, Minsalat, he didn't even know about, so he's been undermined. So what I'm trying to say is, the point being that there's problems at that club at the minute.
That's probably the best time we could get them.
100%, mate. I think it is. I think when I looked at our fixture list for the Champions League, I was like, Dortmund away, then we're going to Bergamo to play Atalanta. Tough. But then you actually drill down and look at how Dortmund have played from match day 1 in Bundesliga. They've been okay. Obviously they've got some wins, but they've played like Heidenheim and the clubs they expect they should be beaten.
Yeah.
They got a really good. I'll not take it away from them. They got a really good result in Bruges. Like that was but a lot of the goals came in the last 20 minutes of that game. I think Bruges sort of ran out a wee bit. I think Bruges sort of tired out a wee bit. Once they got one goal, then the next one they got 2 goals quick succession. I think Jamie Gittin scored both those goals. They got a good result there though, but I think Bruges just sort of ran out of energy at that point. But they got a really good result there. But what I'm saying is, it really is not just a team in transition, it's a club in transition at this moment in time, and it's probably the best time we could play them at this moment in time, I would say.
Obviously, the way Celtic play, and obviously the way you've explained their breakdown today, I would imagine, especially the 2 boys in the 6, the double pivot as you called it, William, there's going to be a wee bit of manipulation with us there, especially the way we trigger, because as soon as, I'd imagine, you put Bernardo starts, he's got great legs, he's physical, he can get in about it, Engels is the same. If one of them jump, they 2 are going to be under pressure. There's no doubt about it, because as you said, they can be harried and panicked, and I know Emre Can's got great experience, but watching him even in the Euros there for Germany, he does look a lot slower than
what he was. Naturally that.
Was he fit 4 now?
Oh, he's a wee bit older than that.
If you play,
that, maybe in 30s I would say.
You might get 1 or 2 touches in the Bundesliga, but we've got guys like Maeda who can come in field as well to shut people down. Engels is fast, Bernardo's got a bit of speed, even McGregor. You're going to be under pressure straight away. And what I don't like, coming from a lot of our supporters, we've been written off here as if it's, we're just going to get pumped again. To me, after listening to this, I'm taking great confidence from this.
That comes from me, maybe I'm one.
Previous European
it comes
games.
from evidence.
But this is a different team, in my opinion. This is a different team.
I know
we haven't, but the best team we've played against this season is Falkirk.
It could be a different...
So Dortmund's going to be that massive.
100%. But we are the ones playing at a high intensity.
I get what you're saying, but we can only go on for evidence, and we can... I'm confident we'll score. I think Dortmund will need to score 2 or 3 goals to beat us, because I think we'll score. I think we will score, so that will be an advantage for us, obviously. That's my own stuff, you don't score, you're not going to win a game of football. But I just feel, going on evidence, I don't think, obviously you can get confidence for what we've done recently, confidence for the weekend, confidence for Bratislava, but when we go and play these top teams, 9 times out of 10, we get our arse skipped. let's be fair here, we do. And we go to Madrid, obviously, but we're expected to get beat. But like
that one's an isolation for me because my head got set off at a period
we went away to Barcelona, PSG, all these teams, and for me, the manager was part of it. Obviously, we went to PSG.
I think Rodgers was naive in those games. I think
what annoyed me
with the terms of how they played.
What annoyed
me about the PSG away from home. Listen, I'm not spending anything after us, right? But we went 1-0 up front. And we played the exact same way. He didn't even try to go back and play it was a 5-4. So if we did get a goal in the night,
that's what he's saying though, with the naivety for the manager.
I think that's what I mean, yeah.
If we did get the first goal in the night, I'm not saying just defend, but don't go gung-ho and go and get the centre forward. Because
I don't think they will.
What I'm saying is we've got players that know when to go, when to sit, when to take the sting out of the game. That's why we've got clever players.
They've got better players. Hands down.
Well, see the boys in their midfield that he's mentioned, none of them are Apache and Engels. None of them. And Engels just came for that.
Players have been submitted to the level that kind of Dortmund have.
Engels has played against them every other week.
One player, but our team, they've got better.
No, but I'm highlighting him in isolation because that's how highly I regard Arnie Engels.
See, for us to get a result tonight, we would need to be at 100% best. We need a lot
especially
of luck,
defensively.
We need Dortmund to be half at a touch for us to get some. There's no getting away from Dortmund are a better side than us. We would need to be at our absolute best and hope for a wee bit of luck.
No, nobody's saying about them being better or no better. What I'm saying is don't just write us off because of previous results. This is a different team, and we're playing differently now.
That's the best possible manner we can.
And obviously at a great time for...
probably the best player of form I've seen possibly in my lifetime. We are playing magnificent football, brilliant, but we're playing at a much lower level just now, and that's where we need to be tested tonight to see where is that level sitting. Where are we playing this football? We're playing great football, but where does it stand against the big
Yeah, no, 100%.
Where does it stand against Borussia Dortmund, etc.? And that's where we'll find it.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say to you.
Yeah.
Will mindset be a big part of this tonight as well?
Huge, always is. It's a massive, it's elite level football, isn't it? It's elite performance, so mindset is going to be huge. I think Brendan is probably the best at that in terms of instilling that mindset into the players and into the squad. I think that he will be looking for players to be getting in there and giving it 100%. Look at any other game, but I think just looking at, I know Borussia Dortmund are a fantastic club, and I'm taking nothing away from them. They've had a couple of good results this year, but they've had a couple of really bad ones and bad performances as well. And I think that there's a lot of pressure on the manager of Dortmund tonight, Sahin, and the players, especially at home, given what was happening on Friday night. Now, on Friday night they won 4-2, but that score flattered them on Friday night to the point that there wasn't even really, even in the stadium, it was more a sense of relief than joy than the fact they won.
They did.
They did. It was almost 3-0. You were on doing the pod at the time.
See what you're saying?
Because I was watching the pod and watching at the same time.
You're saying they're obviously really under pressure, right? Do you think if we contain it early doors, or they don't get a goal early doors, and the longer the game's on, do you think it increases your chances?
Definitely, aye.
100%.
Because I think tonight, if I'm a Dortmund fan tonight, and Dortmund's a team I've probably followed, probably most German teams. If I'm a Dortmund fan tonight, I'm expecting us to blow Celtic away. I want us to go in there, and I want us to really get a 3-0 victory, because then that would really stand them in good stead to go into their next games, and because they've got to go to Berlin next week against Union Berlin, which is a hard place to go to as well. So they really need a big performance. Given the last two performances they've had, they've been really, really poor. Even the second half of the Bochum game, I know they obviously got the goals back, but Guirassy was the main man for that. He really dragged them over the line in that game. But I think that they're not, maybe not expect, they're wanting to get like a 3-0, 2-3-0 victory, clean sheet, a lot of goals tonight against us to then go and push on. But looking at how they've been performing and playing, I just don't see that in how we're playing at the minute as well, throwing that into the mix. They can't underrate us tonight, because I think we can really punish them at moments of the game.
And if we get lots of possession on the ball, if we get chances, then the crowd does.
That's it, and that builds. So like the crowd are going to expect them to come out flying and get a goal in the first 10 minutes.
Obviously, and domestically, we have a lot of the ball, right? In Europe, Bratislava at home with a lot of the ball. Do you think there will be parts of the game where we have possession? But do you think, how are they possession? Did they keep the ball very well, or did they tend to? Did they similar what we done against them across the water at Celtic Park, but we'll just let them have it. Do they let you do that?
No, I think they'll basically try and shift the ball round about these guys here and then try and play it down the wide areas of the field to try and progress up front. But they do take a kind of patient approach in terms of the build-up for the back, which is where we can really probably hurt them in terms of putting that high intense pressure at the full-back or looking at a trigger onto the goalkeeper. They're liable to make a mistake there, I think, in the game, and you'll probably see that tonight. The only thing is we need Kyogo, or if it's either that comes on at one point, to take it. They've got to take their chances tonight. Our defenders need to really be solid at the back, but the guys up front need to take chances. Now what tends to happen is at this level, obviously the Slovan game is a bit different. We tend to get loads of chances and maybe missed most of them, but we really need clinical. I think you mentioned that as well. We really need to be clinical tonight. But in terms of that build-up, mate, they're quite patient with the build-up at the back and using the double pivots to then play the ball wide and
that's
forward.
Where we obviously need to be patient as well. No, I'm not saying let them do it, but don't go gung-ho right away, because they could then end up playing through you.
I don't know, man. It's in my opinion, and given where they're at the minute from a performance level, how unsettled the team is, how unsettled the club looks from the outside. Like all these reports are coming out about infighting. As I said, the 4 guys at the top of the tree, even Matthias Sammer, he's just a consultant in the club. He's got a lot of sway at that club. He's obviously a club legend. But the guys are big personalities and they're all egos. Football's full of egos, right enough, but they're big egos. There's no harmony there. I think at Celtic there's harmony at the minute, because I think Rodgers went out and said to Michael Nicholson, I need him and him. Go get me them. And he did. Engels was one of them. Engels was key to how Rodgers wanted to play, and he was raving about him when he signed him. So I think the two clubs are in different stages of where they are in terms of how settled each one is. I think Dortmund is in a bit of upheaval at the minute, especially but on the field you can see it, and I think it's translating onto the field a wee bit, because Sahin's trying to put all the puzzles of the jigsaw together and he's not quite getting the right picture. Do you know what I mean? That's what he's trying to do at the minute.
With the data you've kind of showed me, well, night and day compared to
what they were last year.
But see, in terms of, like, for me, I like to look at my eyes, but see data and analysis, does it really show you how teams are playing? Like properly, can you look at that and go,
it's
Celtic can obviously hurt them because of that?
It's difficult to compare Celtic, and I think I've done that in one of the things I showed you. It's difficult to compare because Celtic are playing against like St Johnstone and Motherwell and whoever else. Dortmund are going to Stuttgart and play. It's different.
No, it's
so
a different
you can't compare apples to apples, is what I'm trying to say. But what you can compare is you can turn around and look at Dortmund last year after 5 games and Dortmund this year after 5 games, put the two together and see what happens. Looking at where they are just now defensively, they are so poor compared to where they were last year. Not structured, giving away too many shots, good chance shots, like their XG shots that they're giving away is really high compared to what they were last year. So defensively they're struggling at the minute, and they're trying to find that, and that's why I think we can hurt them. Attacking wise, going forward, similarities, a little bit of similarities there. They are scoring goals and they are getting some shots off, but in terms of the build up and defensively, they are different to what they were last year.
Do you think there'll be spells in it where we'll have the ball as well?
Aye, absolutely.
Yeah, I thought that as well. Right, now we're at the bit, obviously we give team lineups. I'll start with you.
Predictions as well.
Go for it.
He's a prediction if you want.
I do think I think it will be the same back 4 that was at the weekend. I think Johnson will play with Scales and Trusty and Taylor. Scales and Taylor. Scales and Taylor and Trusty. For me, I'll get Wilmie's take on it when he obviously gets through his team, but for me, I think tonight, as much as it might be a surprise, I said it on the dial-in, I think Katati sits out tonight. I think we'll need to keep the ball a bit more. And Rodgers said it more than 2 or 3 times about he's consistent about keeping the ball. And one thing, I know when you take a Tati out, you might be suspect on Kyogo getting maybe as much chances, but I think with Engels there, he'll provide that, because we've seen it obviously. I don't know if he'll come on after bench, but McKibben, we've seen the wee ball, so we have got other players that can do that, kind of they need to the passes. So, but I think it'll be Engels, McGregor, Bernardo, and the same out wide it'll be Maeda, Kuhn and Kyle. For me, Kuhn and Maeda, I think they're probably vital to the full thing, I think, personally, because defensively, I think Maeda helps. Now, this is no disrespect to Greg Taylor.
I would say the both of them are probably the main weapons.
Greg Taylor is very good at what he does domestically, but I think in Europe, he's got Maeda there to help him, so it gives him a bit of leeway. He doesn't always need to go gung-ho and defend. Maeda will help him, and then that will help Taylor and Scales together. With Johnson, he's started out a good relationship with Kuhn, and for me, Kuhn's a revelation. I'm not saying, he's still got to go towards Jota for me, but he's getting to that mode where as soon as he gets the ball, go and do something. So I don't know what you feel on that, but for me, they two will be pivotal to us getting a result tonight.
Alan, obviously your team line-up, mate.
That's the same.
That was easy.
You know how I feel about Rio Hatate. I think Rio Hatate's a better player, more technically gifted at present than Paulo Bernardo, but I think with the form that Paulo Bernardo's on and the physicality he can offer in the midfield tonight can be kind of instrumental towards us kind of gaining any sort of result. I totally agree with Ryan. I think Nicholas Kuhn and Maida are going to be pivotal for us tonight. I think Nicholas Kuhn is probably, for me, been our most improved player in comparison to last year. I know there was kind of extenuating circumstances regarding his not great start, shall we say, to his Celtic career, but I think he's been absolutely tremendous, exceptional, and I'd go as far as saying we're best player so far this year. And I wasn't a big fan of Nicholas Kuhn last year because I thought we didn't see the best of him when he came in for 6 months, but I think he's been our best player this season. So I think it'll be the exact same team. And we just, as we've all said, and Williams kind of reiterated there as well, we need to make sure that there's zero mistakes at the back, and we need to be extremely methodical. We'll only get a few chances, we're not going to get crazy amounts of chances like we do in the kind of domestic level, so we need to make sure that we're on our game, whether that be kind of Diogo or Maeda that's get these chances. They need to make sure they put them away because we will get less chances than we have. But saying that, I'm going to predict a 2-2 draw.
That's good.
Interesting.
Interesting.
I was going to say. I was going to say.
No, you're alright.
I was actually going to say the same thing. I was going to say the same thing. I think, to be honest, it's going to just reflect what I think with the guys. I'm totally agreeing. I think Hatate needs to sit out tonight. I think Bernardo, Engels and McGregor is probably the better fit to deal with that middle of the park, especially with Chan and Gross being in there. As you guys just alluded to as well, it's a big night down the wings. We need support for the two full-backs. They're going to try and get one-on-one ways as much as possible, and it's going to need to be a big performance by Trusty and Scales managing Gurasi. Whether it's one of them doing it, two of them, one covering, whatever way they want to do it, man mark them, whatever way they want to go. I think that's going to be key tonight as well. But I did think 2-2. I'll be honest, if Carter Vickers started tonight, I would have said 2-1 Celtic, but I'm going to go 2-2 because I'll change at the back.
I think he's, I don't know, there was a few comments in the kind of chat last night about Vickers, he's not a loss because he starts, but for me personally,
no, just his intelligence,
you need to have your best defender.
For me, he knows where to be at the right time, and he can move and he can intercept passes. He just reads the game. He is so strong, he's so physical, but see just his intelligence in terms of how he reads it. He just reads the game so well. He'll know when to go with the man or just drop back, deal with the ball over the top. I just think that there could be a bit of hesitation at the back for us tonight because he's not there. But I would have fancied us to actually beat them tonight if he played.
Obviously with yourself, with stats are a massive part of what you're looking into. See with Carter Vickers, it's all with the eyes when we see what I'm watching with Carter Vickers. We can see that he's obviously our best defender. I think by a mile.
Oh no, he is. I think see data and analysis. Data and analysis should never tell you anything your eyes don't tell you. Your eyes, what you see on the park, that just gets put into figures effectively, is what you're seeing there. And then you can look at comparisons and go, right, okay, he is doing this, he's doing that. But everything you see, the data should always reflect that.
So I'm going to go same team that started at the game Saturday.
Yeah.
And I'm going to no.
7 this time.
No, I'm going to go 2-1 Celtic.
2-1 Celtic. There you go.
I'm going to go 2-1 Celtic.
Superb.
I think we're going to hurt them.
Hopefully.
In my opinion, I know they've faced some high intensity quality in the league. I just don't think they've faced anybody like Maeda's speed. They probably have it, maybe slightly in the boy Adeyemi in the squad.
Stuttgart are probably the only team they've faced who are high intense pressure, high block pressure. That's how Stuttgart.
So we play like that as well.
We do.
So if you
look at the data, Stuttgart's PPDA is a lot lower than the other teams, which means they allow the team to have less passes per defensive action. So they're right on top of you effectively. They're even higher than Bayern Munich.
So for me, see as William saying earlier, lads, about them being out of sync and not knowing when to go here, when to go. Do you know what kills that? Speed. Speed kills that, intensity kills that. And see if you can get a foothold in the game, and you've got clever players like Engels, McGregor, Bernardo picking up the ball, putting pressure on the double pivot.
Just what you're saying there as well. I think what you'll probably see tonight as well is Kyogo. I think a lot of people got on to Kyogo's back a wee bit, but sometimes he actually makes really clever runs to really bring other people.
He's moving,
but see, to bring others into the game. So what you'll probably find Kyogo will do is, if the ball's over here in the wide zone, Kyogo will probably make that run into that channel to try and drag him out of position. He'll then react, and then it'll create this space at the back for somebody like Maeda or Kuhn to come back in here and hit the back post. So that will happen a lot tonight, because it's all about trying to create space and time for someone to get onto the ball. So you'll see Kyogo, depending on where the ball is, he'll make that wee near post run, and you'll probably see them try to shift across and cover.
See, if they play the boy Sula, he's not as mobile as Kyogo, definitely not, and he's slightly slower, I would say. So's the other big lad, Slotterbeck. He looks big, but he also looks very clumsy.
Anton's a similar mould. The boy for Stuttgart's a similar sort of mould.
Okay.
I don't know who they'll go with tonight, to be honest. It's just because it's been so different in every game. And they might go with the same two at the back. It was Anton and Slotterbeck started the Bochum game, or they might bring Sula in.
Well, not so much Anton. I've not really seen much of him, but I've seen the boy Slotterbeck play. He looks very clumsy. And he looks as if he stumbles when he's got the ball. He looks like he can stumble. And see his speed running at you and coming at you at a fast pace. You look at the fear of God that Maeda puts into Tavernier. If you're not decent with the ball, mate, and you stumble, then that coming at you, you're panicking.
You can have ability, but I feel if you've got pace, speed, and you've got that drive, that power, I don't think it matters how good you're as a defender. Defenders don't like pace. So if Maeda and Kuhn can get the boys turning, then I think you're in, because no matter how good you're defensively, if your body language and your positions, it's so easy to then pass it in and go against.
100%.
But I'm going to sit in the fence as a prediction, because I personally feel
you're not allowed to. No,
I'm going to be honest. I think we'll beat tonight.
Fair enough. That's fair enough.
Back yourself, mate. Know what I mean?
I just think obviously the evidence for years gone past away from home, we're very suspect defensively. I have got confidence that we will go and score and we will hurt them. It's just about us. I don't want to say, in my heart I think we'll win. My heart, every Celtic game I think we'll go and win. Like Alan said, I knew before the game, like 3-0 Celtic. We'll get a hat-trick. Arne Engels will be the star player. So in my heart I think we'll get a result, but I think in my head I'm a bit, I just go for previous games, and I just think we could potentially be suspect defensively. But listen, I hope I eat my words, and I hope we go and get a result, because that's ideally what we're here to talk about.
So do you think the score will be then?
2-1, I think.
2-1.
We'll get beat. Personally, I think we'll get beat 2-1, just because I just hope I'm wrong. I just hope I'm wrong, but the
I do apologise about him for you, not here.
The facts and evidence of previous games tell me that we're going to get beat. But I just hope that, like I said last night, a cycle's got to change, and hopefully I'm wrong and people can say, Ryan, you were silly to write us off, or silly we're going to get beat. So hopefully win the game, and hopefully I'm wrong.
100%. I just want to say, listen lads, it's been a great chat today. William, great insight. Thank you very much for joining us.
No worries. No, thanks for having me. It's been good. Really enjoyed
if you're free again, we'd like to get you on, hopefully in this campaign of the Champions League.
Aye, absolutely, yeah.
Lovely weekend of breakdowns and stuff.
It's been good to meet up in person for a change rather than on the computer, innit? So, no, thanks very much for having us. I enjoyed it.
Great, honestly. Alan, cheers for your time. Brian, cheers for your time. And to you guys, the viewers, I want to say a massive thanks for tuning in. Anybody that is new to the content, you like the content, please like and subscribe. It's totally free to do so. And just to remind you all that the Celtic Unrestricted View are doing a live event. It's on Saturday the 19th of October.
No marks?
No marks, definitely. So it's definitely October. And obviously we're doing an interview with Joe Miller on the night for your price. It's £10. Tickets are available now, they are selling. So I would say get in there and get your ticket. I will put the PayPal that we've got up for you now. And then obviously you can do that, or alternatively you can come into the bar. If anybody, I seen a couple of comments on the dial-in last night, if anybody doesn't have PayPal, or you're wondering how am I going to get it to these guys, contact us on social media. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, anything at all. Don't be afraid to contact us. Myself and Ryan are in charge of most of the social media anyway. So I think the only one I don't have access to is the TikTok, isn't it? That's right. So
that's sort of half tension.
I know. He's got that all tuned in. He's in me. Wicked way. He changed that. He's got a different account for that now, Alan.
That's the double denim stuff and that. So we'll leave that to another coffee or conversation.
So if anybody wants to contact us and you still want to come along to the night, if you don't want to come into the bar, because you can do if you want and pay your £10 here, put your name on a sheet and get yourself a band.
Ask for the lovely Lindsay.
If not, you can alternatively contact us and come up with another method, and we'll give it to you, no problem. But for the time being, if you are going to the game tonight, stay safe, enjoy yourselves. If you're watching it like us, make sure your couch is out for the walk, because you might need to jump behind it. Well, I know the wee man there, I can actually feel him sweating, you know. But above all else, take care. Hail, hail guys, and we'll see you all again, okay?
Thank you.
Bye bye.